We need somebody to fix that. Okay, fine. Last night we had a guest. And the guest said if he only came to hear that one halacha, that the hadassim have to be one tefach below the end of the spine, not the end of the leaves on top of the lulav, but the end of the spine. It's a big chiddush to him. So it's kedai. Anyway, we lost another 2 people today. We have a total of about 10 people in America. Golos, running away to Golos. What? Ruvain.
I looked up this turmus.
I showed you what turmus is, but that's yesterday's shir. We can't talk about it. Is this thing going off again? Yeah, I know, but I heard something. Also, Gary, I need to make it like a little. Is it facing me? You mind? Okay, fine. Fine. Yesterday we learned, Gary. Yesterday we had these 3 halachas, and we continue with that. If a woman miscarries a regular vlad, a vlad shekayoma, guys, this is going around the world. You have to hear shirts and that. Vlad shekayoma.
They have much more views.
Then if there's an afterbirth after a regular child, it doesn't matter how many days. It could be 10 days. The Gemara said yesterday. It's also, we associate it with that birth, and we don't say that perhaps Shalom Aleichem, and we don't say that perhaps there's a second child in there. Then the Gemara goes on. I just fixed the chart slightly to make it more understandable. If she miscarries a nafel, a non-viable child, then there's 2 types of nefalim. I don't know if you got that clear yesterday. There's 2 types of nefalim. There's a nafel that could possibly survive. It just happened to die. And there's a nafel with the 1 eye, or the 1 limb, or whatever. Half the head is missing. It can never survive. There's a big difference. If it's a nafel that could survive, then you get 3 days. Anything within the 3 days, the afterbirth, the shilya within 3 days, is associated with that nafel. And then you have the nafel that can never survive, and for some reason, it's shilya. If a shilya comes out, then it's something else. If it's more than miyad, then it's another. It belongs to another child. Says the Gemara Daf Chav Zayin Amud Aleph. We're holding on today's Daf Baruch Hashem. Amar Rav Shilo Amar Rav Masno Amar Shmuel. Where's my thing? My card somewhere. Is it? No. Okay. We'll have to do without it.
Yeah, what's the difference between the first shili or the second shili? What's nafka mina?
Then 1 minute. Then we're saying that perhaps. Thank you. Then we're saying that maybe there's an akeva in there. Let's say you have a nafel that came out and you see it's a zachar. And then a day later, it's a zachar with an eye in the middle of its head, so it cannot survive. A day later, only 1 day later, an hour later, an afterbirth comes out. So we say the afterbirth is something else. What? Possibly an akeva. Possibly an akeva, 14 days. Omer Rabbi Bavashil Omer Rav Masna, let's define a little better. Omer Shmuel, Maiso v'tolus hashilyo ba'avlad ad asar yomim. So that we had yesterday, that a viable child came out. He was alive and well. And in those days, they weren't so makbid to take out the afterbirth immediately like they do today. They waited. 10 days later, Shalom Aleichem, out comes a shilya. What's the shilya? Is it a new child or is it part of the first birth? They said, Talu, they said it's part of the first birth. So now the Gemara says halacha that the shilya must come after the birth. But if, let's say, the shilya comes before the birth, then we'll say that it's a second child over there.
There's no second child.
That's the whole sugya. Disintegrated. It's gone. You don't see it. Something happened. There's in there that, and we might even have the words today that there's no such. Not that the shilya is a vlad, but there's no shilya without a vlad. If you have an afterbirth, it's an indication that there's some sort of child in there somewhere. So either it's what she just gave birth to, or it's a new child somewhere. Now we're going more than 10 days, even 23 days. You told us 24. So there's some that say there's no machlokes at all. It's the same thing, just whether you count the day of the birth or not. Omer Rav Acha Bereider Rav Aviro, Omer Rav Yitzchok, Ma'asev v'nishtav lad acher chaver shleishim shleishim. So now we're talking about twins. There was a Maisa that there were twins, that one was born 33 days after his brother or sister. Omer Rav Yosef, shleishim v'arba martlon. You told us 34. Again, no machlekes maybe. Hanicha l'man da'omar yuledes l'tisha yuledes l'mikutayim. So here, as every day in the daf, usually, 99% of the time, new concepts. So here we have a new concept called mikutayim. Mikutayim is whether a woman can give birth in the beginning of the 9th month or not. Machlekes. According to the Madama, it says not. She can only give birth at the end of the 9th month. Says the Gemara, Mishkachas lo echad nigmer tzurasoi l'soif shiva, v'echad nigmer tzurasoi l'tchilas tisha. So what's going on here? Here, very simple chart. You have 3 months here. Tishrei, Cheshvan, Kislev. 7-month of pregnancy, 8th month of pregnancy, 9th month of pregnancy. If a woman could give birth, this is the end of the 9th month, this is the beginning of the 9th month. If a woman could give birth in the beginning of the 9th month, so it's possible they have 33 days. Because the Gemara just said that there's a 33-day difference between the two twins. How? Because one was born at the end of the 7th month, 2 days before the end, and this was born 2 days into the 9th month. Totally you have 33 days. If you cannot give birth in the 9th month, in the beginning of the 9th month, so how is it possible that you have 33 days difference? What are you going to tell me? They were born in the 7th month. The 7th month is no machlokes. You could give birth in the beginning of the 7th and the end of the 7th. But guess what? You don't have 33 days in the 7th month. To give birth in the 8th month, impossible. Well, a woman doesn't give birth in the 8th month. To give birth twice in the 7th month, you don't have 33 days. And to give birth in the beginning of the 9th month, you can't, because he holds that you cannot give birth in the 9th month. So what do? You have to flip it around. If a woman gives birth to a viable baby, then even if she has an afterbirth after 33 days, the 33 days is going on the shilya and not on the twin. So it doesn't matter how many days later she gives birth to a shilya, we connect that shilya, that afterbirth, to the original birth. Like you said, where's the baby? Obviously it's from the first baby. 23-day difference is in a twin. Now, let's think about it. Where did she give birth to a twin 23 days apart? If you hold that you cannot give birth in the beginning of the 9th month, so it has to be in the 7th month. Very good. So that's why over here, there's a difference. You could put the 23 in month 7. You cannot put 23 in month 9, according to the Mandahoma, that you cannot give birth in the beginning of the 9th month. You cannot, you let this mikutain, she cannot give birth in the beginning of the 9th month. Very interesting. They're discussing this halacha. Could a twin be born 23 days apart, 33 days apart? There's a story that there were twins that were born 3 months apart. In fact, I went on Google, and the world record in our days is 87 days apart. Twins. She gave birth. One was in the NICU for 3 months. The other one went on going, was born 87 days later. There's one 84, 87 days. It's very close to what the Gemara said at 3 months. We don't have to go any further. They're sitting right here with us. The two famous sons of Rebbe Yehuda and Chizkiah were twins, and they were born 3 months apart. Okay, so the Gemara says you don't have to limit it to 23 or 33. It's possible to be born months apart, like in this chart right over here. How? If one was born Nigmar Tzurosoi in the beginning of the 7th month, and this one was Nigmar Tzurosoi at the end of the 9th month, you have a total of 3 months. Explains the Gemara of Amar Mar Einisha Misaberes v'Chizar Misaberes. A woman cannot get pregnant and get pregnant again. Now, Dr. Epstein is looking at this and he's like, wait a minute, there is such a concept, and there is, right?
Sure.
There is a concept, it's very, very rare, but it's even possible for two men to impregnate the same woman two separate eggs. They have two. There's such a thing. It happens a lot by animals. Dogs, cows, they get pregnant from different scharim, different in the same litter. By humans, it's possible. There's a name for it, a term for it, and it happens. But the Gemara says, "Einishum saberes u'chazeres saberes." Typically, doesn't happen. Or Abayo, tipa achas hoysov and ischalkel shtayim. This also doesn't really fly with what we know today. But the Gemara says it's the zera that splits into two. One of the twins came out in the beginning of the 7th month, and the other one came out at the end of the 9th month.
The egg that splits, not
Yeah. Shilyo babayis habayis tome. So we learned, if the afterbirth is inside a house, the entire house is tome. Lo isha shilyo vlad. Not that the shilya is the vlad, but within the shilya, somewhere hidden, is the vlad. Rabbi Yosi. Now remember these names: Rabbi Yosi, Rabbi Huda, Rabbi Shimon, Mitarim. All three, Rabbi Yosi, Rabbi Huda, Rabbi Shimon, say the same exact thing. They say tar. Don't you admit that if you take the afterbirth, put it in a bowl, and schlep it to another place, by moving it, you are going to cause it to get all mixed up, and it's tar. Omer lehen aval. He said, yes, I do admit. Vilama. Why? So they asked him, so tell us your logic. And whatever your logic is, it's going to be a problem over here. Lefi she'enoi. Because when you bring it to another place, it's going to get so mixed up that it disintegrates. There's nothing there. Guess what? It's already disintegrated. It's already in pieces. It's scrambled eggs, or whatever you want to call it. It's not there anymore. Finished. Gone. Yeah, it's a little scrambled. But it's not heavily scrambled, like moving it to another place. That really creates a situation where you don't have any resemblance to the original Vlad, and it's not metame. The Gemara is going to explain a little bit more. Another Gevaldik Maisa. Yesterday we had the Maisa where Rav Yosef was walking by quickly, and they made fun of him. They said, this guy, you can ask him a small little question and you throw him off. Now we have another Maisa. Yosef Rav Papa Achori de Rav Bivi. Rav Papa was sitting, right? The Rebbe would sit and they were like rows. So Rav Papa was sitting behind. He wasn't even in the front. He was sitting behind Rav Bivi. Kameh de Rav Amnuna. Rav Amnuna was sitting in the front. He's the Rebbe. V'Yosef Amar, my time of the Rebbe Shimon. Now we said that all three of them say the same thing. Reb Shimon, Reb Yosi, Reb Yehuda say, after birth in the house is tar. What's the reason? What's the problem? The problem is that at the end of the day, we have a dead baby here. Scrambled, not scrambled. You cannot tell it's a baby. What's the difference? At the end of the day, if you have even the dust of a dead person, is also metama. So over here, corpse dust. So over here you have a whole baby, so you can't tell exactly where it is, but it's in this bag. So it looks like blood, it's all mixed in, but it's dead and it's in there. Says Rashi, it should be like rekev.
What?
Rekev is this corpse dust. Rekev means spoiled, decayed meat that turned into dust. By the time of the Reb Shimon, we have to understand, how could Reb Shimon say that the house is tar when we have this Vlad inside it? Says the Gemara initially, Kasava kol tuma shenisarav ba min acher batla. So right away we say, and this is how the Gemara ends up at the end, that he holds, we're talking about Bittul Baroiv. Bittul Baroiv, you have 51% or more of the woman's dam Leda, even though it's Tomei, Dam Leda is Tomei, and the Vlad is Tomei, but one Tumah could be bottled in another Tumah. It's an amazing Chiddush. It's not that I'm taking a Tumah and being Mevatel with something that's not Tomei. That makes more sense. I'm taking something that's tamei, a vlad, and because it's not as much as the blood of the woman, as the whole placenta, as the whole afterbirth, it becomes batal. It's as if it's not there anymore.
It's a different type of tumor. One is tumor.
Different, right? Correct. Different type of tumor. One is tumas yiledis, one is tumas mace. Different types of tumor, and the batal. I'm saying it's a nice chiddush, even though they're both tamei sort of. Amar Rav Papa says, Rav Papa, listen to this. Here's the ma'isa. Here's the punchline. Hainu nami ta'amayid Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Yosi. He's in front of his Rebbe. He says, "Oh, I just told you the reason of Rabbi Shimon, and guess what? The same reason applies to Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yosi." Achichu alei. They started laughing. Rav Hamnuna, the Rebbe, started laughing. He said, "What are you, crazy? You have to say these extra words." All three of them say the same thing: Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yosi. Once you know one, you know them all. So why do you have to add these words? And oh, by the way, it's the same reason for Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yosi. Maishna, what's the difference? Pshita. They were pretty tough in those days. It's a little off, poof, they laugh at you. Omar Papa, afilu ki mil saleme inish v'lenishta kamei rabbi. Says Rav Papa, let me explain to you. Even something that's so obvious, you shouldn't be quiet. Even if they might make fun of you, say it. Mishum shenemar im novalto bisnasei. It says in Mishlei, if you get embarrassed, you put yourself down by asking questions, bisnasei, it will elevate you. You'll rise up, it'll make you greater. Vimzamoisa, and if you are quiet, yad lepeh, eventually in the future, you're going to put your hand by your mouth. You won't be able to answer. People are going to come to ask you questions. You're like, oh, yeah, I don't know the answer. Why? Because you were shy, you were embarrassed in the beginning, so you don't know your stuff. If you want to know, you go to medical school, you better ask all the right questions, any question, because later on you have a patient, right? I was talking to you.
Does this apply to Daf Yomi Shir?
No, it does not apply to Daf Yomi Shir. It's better, Yad Lepeh. Much better. Especially the first 25 minutes. Some people, the first 45 minutes.
We see here, even if it's not a question, he didn't ask a question, he made a comment.
Right. He made a comment because he wanted his Rebbe to jump up and say, what are you talking about? Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yosi have a completely different reason, maybe. He wasn't sure. The Rishonim, I don't understand it exactly, but the Rishonim are mamish, they wonder what's going on here, but it was such a simple thing that he said. Why did he say it? I still don't, maybe there's another reason. They took it was so obvious that there's no other reason, it was so, he simply wasted a couple of words. Why did he have to waste those words? So now the Gemara has a havamina that maybe Reb Shimon Bayas that says that the vlad, the little baby with inside the afterbirth, is not metame at all, is similar to another halach that he says. Now what? The Sanya. Miloi tarvod rakov. This is the halach that we mentioned before. You have a ladle full. How big is the ladle? Like two handfuls. A nice spoon, a huge spoon. What? Of corpse dust. This is the rekev, the decaying body that's dust, corpse dust, geschmack stuff. It's in a ladle. Yeah, I hope you didn't serve this at the Shara Brachos. Here's an amazing halacha. You have this ladle, it's a little larger than this, full of corpse dust. It's metame a whole house. The whole house, everything inside the house is tomei boil. You go ahead and you introduce to it two gargirim, how do you say? Two grains of salt of dirt, poof, becomes tar. What's the svara? Obviously, we're not talking about batul b'roiv, are we? No. It's 2 grains of dust. Meloi tarved rokav shenofal l'toichei ofer kolshu. Any type of dirt. Tomei. Tanakama says it remains tomei. Reb Shimon min ta'ar. My time at the Reb Shimon. What's the reason? Omer Rabbi Ashkichtinu l'Rabbanon de Beiravid the Yazvik Harmi Efshar Shelo Yirbush they pray the Sofer pray the Acha Shel Rakov v'Chosrelei. So he comes up with this chiddush that the 2 grains of dirt that fell into the ladle, they're going to overcome 1 grain of corpse dust. It's inevitable that they're going to touch 1 grain of corpse dust, and 2 against 1, 2 wins. and now you have 1 grain of corpse dust less than a ladleful. And if less than a ladleful, it's tar.
So we're talking about exactly the shear.
Exactly the shear. In his hava amina. They don't like it.
You basically,
And memela,
your beetle one,
you move out to 1 grain.
one doesn't have a shear.
It doesn't have a shear. Now, the same thing would apply, the Gemara thought, would apply to our nebach fetus in the afterbirth. You have a little bit of afterbirth and a little bit of fetus. Now the problem is that, according to some Rishonim, places I think explains this, that since the vlad is here, so you have an entire vlad. Now you have a whole body. A whole body is a problem because it's a shalom. It creates tumah. So now he's saying no. The body is missing a little bit. It's not a full body. Why? Because 1 particle of the body was bottled to the blood of the placenta, and maybe you don't have a whole body. That's what he's trying to get out of. If you're talking about a kazayis, you're talking about a shear, then you might have that shear in there. But if you're talking about a whole body, you don't have a whole body. That's how the Rishonim explain. V'aminulu, and I told him, Adarabba, your exact logic can be reversed. I'll pray the opposite. I have more than a ladle full now. Why? Because the dirt that I introduced to the ladle was overcome by the corpse dust. Why do you think that the dirt from outside overcame the corpse dust? The opposite. The corpse dust overcame the dirt from the ground, and now before I had an exact ladle full, now I have exact ladle full plus 2 particles of dust from the ground that became tameh because I overcame them. Who told you what overcomes what? In fact, there's more corpse dust than the dirt from the ground, so maybe it overcame the dust from the ground. Elo marabo hainu time Reb Shimon. Let me explain to you what the real reason is. And once I know what the real reason is, it has no connection to our sugya of shilya. Hainu time Reb Shimon. Soivay kitchi lasoi. The end, once I have corpse dust, has to be like you start off with corpse dust. Now this corpse dust is a very, very specific halacha. It's not what you think it is, corpse dust, and that's it. Corpse dust has to be pure corpse dust. It has to come from a naked body that was buried in a perfectly clean coffin made out of marble. In other words, not any dirt at all. Perfectly clean. It can't be a murder victim because it might be missing two drops of blood from the gunshot wound. It can't be wearing tachrichim because maybe those tachrichim will disintegrate together with the corpse dust and it won't be pure. So it's a very specific thing. Memela, that's the tchila. That's how you have to bury it in order to get to this corpse dust. So therefore, the end is also the same halacha. Once I have pure corpse dust in my hand, and I introduce any minute amount of something, it ruins it. Because just like when I start off, it has to be pure, the most pure form of corpse dust. So therefore, if I have a pure form of corpse dust, I can ruin that pure form by introducing a drop of dirt from the ground. That's what Reb Shimon holds.
Why would anybody want that pure corpse dust?
I don't, but it's halacha Moshe Sinai. I forgot to mention, corpse dust, the shear of corpse dust is halacha Moshe Sinai. It's not I want it, I have it. How do I have it? Because I happen to bury a guy in a marble coffin without any clothing on, and memela I got it. Once I got it, it ruins my whole house. It makes oil.
And you left an exact spoonful.
Yes. Now let me ask you something. Goyim, if you go to America, they cremate their beloved ones, and they put an urn in their living room. So what happens if I touch that urn? It's corpse dust.
It's closed.
So am I tummy? Not tummy? I pour it. I take it out. I go like that.
That's goy.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of the Yidden that do it. They want to save the money on the kvura.
I remember my
So we're gonna get to there today.
my shwer was once taking his cigarette. That's my husband's ashes.
Beetle's the corpse dust, putting ashes from a cigarette.
Yeah. Anyways, Matchilosin Asalei Dover Achar Gangiloin. You ever heard this word before? Gangiloin. Gangiloin, says Rashi, it's the bittul. It's the antidote to the corpse dust. When you have corpse dust, the way to undo the corpse dust is by adding some tachrichim, some shroud. Okay. So therefore, once I already achieve this very difficult achievement of pure corpse dust, I can ruin it very easily by introducing a mashu to it, says Reb Shimon. Mimela, what does that have to do with the afterbirth? I have an afterbirth, and I have a child in the afterbirth, so maybe my house should become tamei. Over there, I don't have a specific halacha that the child has to be pure. It's a halacha by corpse dust. So, Mai, the Sanya Izum Meis, Sheshlei Rakav. How do you get corpse dust? Veizum Meis Shein Rakav. Nik Bar Aroin. Ba'aroin, Shel Shayish. I don't know why, because I had no chart, so I printed this out. If you want to know what it looks like, here, it's beautiful. It's Kedai. Look into this.
Are you saying only if it has nothing else mixed with it?
Yes, I'm not saying the Gemara says that's nothing else mixed. What are you telling Yosef?
Now that you're building marble for the new building, maybe get a deal for everyone.
Seriously, are you saying that it's not?
We have kfarim. We're selling kfarim underneath the base measures. You have, like in Har Menuchas now, they have those caves. So on the side of the building, between the beams, we're selling those. Some people say we should put cups there. We should store things there. It's a great place to be buried, right under the base of measures. Listen to the Torah for the rest of your. What?
You have to leave a space so Rabbi Shamba can still come.
Yeah, tefach. Or a very clean surface. That's corpse dust. If he wears shrouds, that will disintegrate the wood. Just regular floor that's dirty. Only if somebody had died, and a murder victim that's missing blood, not because it has to be a complete body. I don't ask questions. Gufa. If you have a ladle full and a little bit of dirt fell into it, according to Reb Shimon's star. What about a different halacha? I take this ladle spoon under one roof and I put half of it in this corner and half of it in another corner. Could I be mitzaref the two halves to one? It's under one roof. Says the Tanakama, the whole house is tummy. Reb Shimon Mitari says it's tar. Utsricha. Why do I need the two? It's interesting. I don't know if everybody holds like this, but one shot that I saw is that Reb Shimon holds that since I put it on the floor of the house, so it's inevitable that the floor of the house, there's not going to be a drop of dirt there, and that drop of dirt mixes with the rekev and is mevatel the rekev. So the halacha is the same really. So who cares if I was mefazer in the whole house, or if I have it in a ladle and I introduce dirt to it? What's the difference, the floor of my house or a ladle? Why do you have to tell me two cases? Since it's gathered in one place. Here's a new halacha, a new concept that we're learning today. We're learning a bunch of concepts today. There's a concept called oil after oil, meaning if I have oil in this corner of a half a rekev, a half a tarvad, a half a ladle, and a oil over here, I have a ladle, I want to combine the two halves and make one oil. Could I do that or not? This is machlokes. So over here, Chacham are going to say that yes, even in such a case, it's a chiddush. That even in such a case, it's one oil. V'yashmin in Baha, and I would say in the case that it was scattered around the house, maybe in this case, Reb Shimon holds that I can't combine the two oils. Maybe he doesn't hold of his whole concept that you introduce a little bit, it's mevatel. He holds the problem is that two oilim don't go together. I need it to be in one place. Tzricha. Oh, another thing, another concept. This is the concept of the dust from the graveyard, from the cemetery. What does that mean? This is a big chiddush. Rashi says it means the clothing on the dead person. If a dead person dies, in other words, Rashi ignores what we understood until now. We understood that everybody agrees, and in fact, the Ritva brings down that it's already paskined in halacha that everybody agrees that you cannot introduce the clothing of the mace in order to get this corpse dust. Everybody agrees with that. The question is, once it's already corpse dust and you introduce something to it, could you be mevatel or not? But lechatchila, it seems like from the Gemara, the way you read it, Rashi says no. Rashi says that we're talking about that you bury the dead person with his tachrichim. And that's called a fire beis hakfaros. So now you need more than a ladleful. Because in the ladle, you're going to have a little bit tachrichim. In order to get a pure ladleful, you need a ladleful plus a little bit of tachrichim, a little bit more. So, meloi tarvoid v'oid, you need a ladleful and more for that fire beis hakfaros. Tamei. So Taisa says a completely different pshat. It's a beautiful pshat, Taisa says. Taisa says we're talking about in those days they would bury the dead, they would put him in a coffin of some sort and put lime all around it. Seal it. So eventually the corpse disintegrates, becomes corpse dust. Now it has a perfect, you have la halacha, corpse dust. What happened was the lime disintegrated and fell into the corpse dust. But that happened at a later stage. First they had good corpse dust. Then you ruin the corpse dust. So now you have a machlokes. Reb Shimon holds if you introduce it later on, it becomes is mivadalit, and Chacham say no. So that's what a fire beis hakfaros means. That's the Rashba. Void a fire beis hakfaros tamei Reb Shimon mitayr. My time I have the Rabbanon lefi sheyev shalom maloi taver void a fire beis hakfaros she'im boi maloi taver rokov. They hold that if you have a ladle full and more than a ladle full, you're going to have a full ladle full of corpse dust, which is enough to make the house tamei. Now, if you're telling me it's a special chiddush when it comes to corpse dust, that the end, meaning once you have the corpse dust, you're not allowed to introduce anything to it, so it has nothing to do, Gabi Shilya, my timer, has nothing to do with the afterbirth. And that's what we said all the way in the beginning of the sugya, that the afterbirth, the vlad, the baby in the afterbirth, is batal beroiv. There's more afterbirth, more blood in there than the actual baby, and therefore there's no tumah. Says Rabbi Yochanan, this would be the same halach in another place. Rabbi Shimon Hada Amaron, this bitul beroiv, Rabbi Shimon says, I could take the fetus and be mevatel it in a lot of blood. Rabbi Lezer, similar halacha, Rabbi Lezer says the same. Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov Omer. Behema, you have a behema gasa, a cow, a large animal that never gave birth. So what's the first baby that comes out of it? A male is a bechar. She didn't have a bechar. Behema gasa sheshafa charar dam. She gave birth. She miscarried a chunk of blood, a cake of blood, a massive piece of blood. What do we assume? We assume that's her bechar. Right in there, in that chunk, was a male cow, a bechar. So what do you do if it's a bechar? You have to treat it with respect. How is it to cover? You have to bury it. And therefore, the next vlad that she has, the next cow, next calf, is not a bechar. Now here's the problem.
It's not viable.
It doesn't matter, viable, not viable. It's not a peterechem. The one that opened the womb of the cow, that's the one you do peterechem. We have a major problem. If you're taking this chunk of blood and you're telling me this chunk of blood is a bechar, bury it right away. So what is that telling me? That it's tamei. That there's a fetus in there. There's a cow inside this blood. So if there's a cow inside of it, it should be mitama. But no, lo mitama and mitama lo b'magav lo b'masa. There's no tumah. So either it's tamei and it's a cow and you have to bury it because it's a bechar, or it's not tamei, it's not a cow. Says the Gemara, the reason why you have to bury it, the reason why you bury it is to tell everybody, don't worry about it. This cow, the next one, you don't have to do bechar. You don't have to give it to the kohen. In other words,
why do we think it's a zakar? Why it could be if it's in a cave, but then
you mean, yeah, peterechem, right. Anything, you don't give this to the kohen, but the following one, there's no bechar. Just like by humans, right? If a woman gives birth to a female, to a girl, and then a year later she gives birth to a boy, there's no pinyan aben. Because the one that opens the womb, you're chayiv. Ama vlad ma'alyu. So it is considered a viable cow, at least to pater from bechayra. So if it's viable, then why is there no tumah? We're dealing with bittul b'roiv. So the fetus, the cow that's within this big giant chunk of dam is bittul b'roiv. It's much smaller than the blood. So we have everything. We have all the worlds here. We have a bittul b'roiv, so it's not metame. But we have a cow in there, so she's patur from char. Treat it with respect, so bury it. Or at least let people know, let the world know that she gave birth to a b'char.
Has to be missing a piece.
Why?
If it's shleimus, then it's not bittul, right?
Oh, that's something else. It's all mixed in there. There's not shalom, nothing. It's a big chunk of blood. Amazing. We weren't even thinking about it. But we said that this afterbirth is not matam in my house, says Reb Shimon. Why? It's bittul b'roiv. But the mother is tamei. She just gave birth. Every year ledes is tamei. So she herself is tamei. This house is tar. This afterbirth is tar. But she is tamei. How many days? Rabbi Isai, how many days of tumah? 14. Because we have to go l'chumrah. Maybe she gave birth to a girl. Omar Usabel Rabbi Ami. So says this elderly to Rabbi Ami. I don't know if it's Eliyahu Novi or not. Azrulach time of the Rabbi Yochanan. I'll explain to you. Damakra Isha Kisazriya V'Yolda Zachar. A woman who miscarried zera. In other words, even the leida is considered, birth is considered, even if it's in the form of zera liquid. So even though she gave birth to some after birth, a liquidy form, that still is considered a birth. Afilu yolda al kein shizriya tmeya leida.
This is very important
Why is it important?
for people who've miscarried. Then what this Gemara is saying is that it's considered a zera, and Shom has gone into the thing from conception, even though it's completely disintegrating, dissolved, and there's nothing there.
It's considered a leida. It's considered a birth.
It's
You brought a neshama to the world.
Neshama goes down.
And that's why they name it and they bury v'chulu v'chulu.
Well, it depends on what stage, no?
No.
We're talking about after.
The Gemara is saying Sazria.
Yeah, but I think it has to be 40 days.
Conception.
You're saying even less than 40 days?
Yeah, that's what the Gemara is saying. Isha ki Sazria. That's right, the Chida brings down. It's from conception, the Neshama goes down.
I don't know if that goes with everything that we learned. We learned 40 days though. Right here. Rish Lakish Omar, Shofar. Now we're jumping for a second away from Shilya. Shilya is the afterbirth. Shofar is the embryo. Embryo. Not embryo. Rabbi said not embryo. Embryo. You don't know what that word is? So I'm one step ahead of you. I'm like less than the American that knows it's embryo. I thought it's embro. Kids but I know there's such a concept. Embryo. Anyways, we're talking about the skin, the formation of the actual fetus. You take this shvir, shetorfu b'meimav, you mix it up, you scramble it real good within its liquids that it has or other liquids. Nasa kemeis shenizbal b'letzurasoi. So now it becomes like a mace. You take a mace, you take a dead person, and you cremate a dead person, you burn him to a crisp. Since it doesn't have, you can't tell the tzura. I had a few years ago, we had in one of my properties, the FBI came into the property. Just remember, it's like I wasn't planning it, but we have 2 minutes. They came in, I might have said the story already. They came into the property, they said, there's a guy missing from your property. We have to check your property. We know that he's in this property. He was killed in this property. So they go into his apartment. Oh, so what happened was his apartment was burnt. His apartment was burnt to a crisp. They go in, they check everything. He's not there, but he's in the property. They know from surveillance. They know. So they came, they checked. They put scuba divers. We have lakes. They went into the lake, not lakes, like ponds. Like these. Then they drained the pond. They said it's not enough. They drained the pond. They kept on coming and going, and they wouldn't give up. Nothing. They never found the body. And we went into the apartment. We had to start renovating the apartment. We're going in, out, down, out. And then they discovered that the body was in that apartment and everybody was stepping over the body. It disintegrated to a nothing. It was right there, right when you walk in, it was there. It was like in the carpet. So there's such a thing. I don't know. I'm telling you, Ma'aser Shahaya in my property. It was right there. I mean, maybe it was within the furniture. I don't know. Like they didn't notice it. It was like they kept on going in and out. They never noticed. It was right under their nose. Anyway, so Rish Lakish at least holds, and we'll get into the sugya tomorrow. Rish Lakish holds that a mace, this guy, whoever stepped on this body, my property, is not tamei. It's this balbal tzurasai. He has no form. Once a body, according to Rish Lakish at least, has no form, so there's no tumah, and therefore also, when you take a shvir and you mix it up like scrambled eggs, it loses its form, it loses its tumah, says Rish Lakish. We'll start from here tomorrow. Zayik Yizon, have a wonderful day, Rabbi Isai. Thank you, Yaakov.
No scrambled eggs today. So you just need to tell me, Ellie, what I need.
The X, no? Yeah, what?
Tell me what the